And when you and I showed up at the Toronto Hypnosis group that evening in the pub, and I was warned by an attendee, you be very careful how you word hypnosis and trance because there's sticklers in the room and they'll nail you to say you're confusing it with somebody who cares. I don't care. It's just a word.
Know that he wouldn't care to be such a stick.
No, he's not that.
We did sit down and have conversations about this. It's no problem. It's just a word. From a process and state standpoint, we're thinking all in the same line.
We're in the same,
we're all on the same page.
We're on the same page with Anthony, absolutely. And the guy's bang on with his stuff.
100%.
So it's just people can nail these. They can get overwhelmed with these descriptions. I don't mean anyone we're talking about now. I'm now moving to a different point. So, so anybody phoning Anthony Jacquin saying, boy, those guys are slagging you. Not at all. We're in agreement. Having said that, where I get annoyed is with the Google report, Google News updates come in every day for me on all the usual stuff, like war on Mars and Mandela effect and all the stuff everybody looks at on a daily basis. Yeah, just completely normal stuff. But one of the things that comes in is any mention of hypnosis in the news. Almost every day, I'll get a report from, in Shreveport, Louisiana, comedy hypnotist so-and-so is performing tonight at the such and such a room. And we interviewed him.
The Gus Grissom Cafe.
Right. They say we interviewed him for this report. And I'll click on it. And I know what they're going to say. Hypnosis is a relaxed state where the subconscious mind, it's like they've all got the same playbook. They're all saying exactly the same things as to what this is. So let's pursue this a little bit further. Someone on a plane next to you or a potential client says, what is hypnosis?
That's the question.
How will you answer? Now, I'm going to give you a few of my favorites first that I use.
Before Mike
I want to do it right away.
His answers, think about this.
Yours.
If you do hypnosis and someone says to you, well, what exactly is this thing? Can you confidently and congruently answer the question without sounding like you're, sorta...
Or a pontificating deck. You don't want to sound like that either. Yeah.
So, okay, well, let's hear some stuff.
Well, let's hear them. You're familiar with all these. These are the ones I've used for years. Hypnosis is a way of getting to the wealth of experience and resources in the unconscious mind. This is the unconscious model. So it's a way of getting to all the resources that are there and all the experiences to draw from them. Then there's the communication model. Hypnosis is extremely powerful and effective communication. There you go. So we're dealing with both conscious and unconscious.
And that leaves room for the person to inquire a bit more and for you to explain more.
Yes, exactly, yes.
Without having to give a soliloquy.
Nice. The quality of mercy is not strained. Droppeth as the gentle rain from heaven upon the place. No, anyway, I'm doing Portia's speech from Merchant of Venice, Shakespeare.
Right.
Why? Because I could.
Because you can.
Now, it is also the amplification model. I've heard Mandel use this one. Hypnosis is simply an amplifier of human experience.
Which I like.
Which means what to you?
Takes good stuff and makes it better, but can also take bad stuff.
Yeah, it will amplify anything. Yeah,
Bad stuff better.
You can do almost anything better in a hypnotic state.
If you think about it, a horror movie creating uncomfortable?
What movie?
That doesn't even make sense. Discomfortable. I just said that out loud on a podcast. A horror movie.
Oh, horror.
You're watching.
I thought you said something else.
And bad stuff's happening, and people get freaked out, and then I don't want to go to bed. Leave the lights on tonight, Mom. That kind of stuff.
That's hypnosis.
Well, that's hypnosis, and that's making a problem worse, right? You're amplified because the emotions are involved.
Good point. Which is probably why people should not take LSD and then watch horror movies.
Probably be an issue.
Would you do that?
I would never take LSD.
But if you were, would you watch a horror movie?
I think I have no idea because I don't know how stupid I would become and whether I would say, oh, this sounds like a great idea. Maybe I would.
Then leap out a window and think you could fly or something. I don't know. Now, what about this one? Here's one I've used for years. Hypnosis is a state maintained by processes that create and maintain a state.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Thanks. It's nicely redundant, isn't it?
Yes.
So, yeah.
Which makes sense because the people argue about, is it a state or is it a process? Is hypnosis something you're doing or is it a thing you're in?
And the answer is yes, it is both. Yeah.
And what is anger? It's a state. But it's also a state that must be maintained by doing the things that result
maintain it.
Being angry.
Yeah.
So
the state maintained by doing the things that maintain the state. Yeah. Yeah. So it is both. And this isn't something I'd definitely say to somebody on a plane or something if they ask me, but it is a way of unpacking it as well. So it is also I've used the one, a focused state of awareness that may result in increased suggestibility. It may. Erickson said it doesn't necessarily. But when you say that, that's a great one. It's putting you, sir, in a focused state of awareness that may lead to increased suggestibility so you can change things in your life. Then they don't feel like they're completely overwhelmed by something. Now, what about connecting? You said about connecting hypnosis to things they already know.
I think as
an answer, right?
Yeah, I was having a conversation with somebody in the medical community actually quite recently talking about hypnosis. And what she mentioned to me is, I'm aware of people that do mindfulness and people who do meditation and things like that. And how are those things related to hypnosis?
I'm interested in your answer.
So I, of course, explained that in our model of the world, meditation and also, meditation and mindfulness. I was somehow thinking self-hypnosis for a moment, but I'll come back to that later. Meditation, in my view, and in your view, I know, because we share the same view on this, is a form of self-hypnosis or a form of hypnosis. But not all hypnosis is meditation. So I explained all fish are not trout. All trout are fish, but not all fish are trout, right? So
correct.
Hypnosis is the larger basket in which you can put mindfulness, meditation, self-hypnosis, all these things. But you also have entertainment hypnosis in there. You also have therapeutic hypnosis, heterohypnosis, a hypnotist working with a client rather than someone hypnotizing themselves, running their own meditation session or mindfulness session, right?
Yeah, that's good. So there's all these things that people already know. Even reading a novel can be extremely hypnotic. If I read a good novel, the words disappear off the page. And I start to see the scene unfolding, imagining it the way I've imagined it. When I think back to a novel I've read, I don't think back to seeing words on a page.
Exactly.
I think back to the storyline itself. What are you looking at here? You're scanning something.
I'm looking for an email that I know we're going to be bringing up in a moment here. Here we go. Yeah, I found it, but that's fine.
All right. Do you want to bring it up now?
Sure. So where are we in the notes here?
Well, we also have stories and metaphors. Those are definitely hypnotic.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Okay. So
interesting conversations. When you're in an especially interesting conversation, you'll go into a trance state to process it. In fact, the greatest orators, the greatest speakers are creating hypnotic states in the audience. I used to do it on purpose, but it's a common thing.
There's a part of me that feels a lot of people would be comfortable if they understand that hypnosis isn't actually anything special or unique.
Right.
We're doing it all the time. A lot of our own beliefs are manifestations of prior hypnosis events in our lives where we've gone on to believe something and we adopt it as though it's true. And now we're operating in this perpetual post-hypnotic suggestion world, right?
Yes,
all
absolutely.
These kinds of things like Martians are thieves. Well, how do you go on to believe that? Something emotionally triggered it.
Or it's an attribution from someone else told you that all the time you were growing up. You picked it up from them.
So, well, how do you use that to your advantage then, Chris and Mike? Well, if you can get somebody into this hypnotic state where they're focused on things and resources are available to them and their conscious interference is somewhat offline, as per Anthony Jacquin's definition, or like that, you can help people access a lot of information, a lot of resources, a lot of possibilities, a lot of imagination, a lot of guided imagery, whatever you want to do, exercises, imagination, and physically moving and breathing differently and installing suggestions that they will accept as true.
Exactly. That's all very well put. I have nothing to add to it.
All right.
In fact, I sort of zoned out as you were saying it. Just gun. Done. I said gun.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird? Just to instantly go into firearms for some reason. And there's no reason whatsoever. Now,
but I do think it would be useful if somebody you can tell is favorably thinking about mindfulness and meditation, and they ask you about hypnosis, tell them it's very similar in many ways to mindfulness and meditation.
Oh, for sure. And especially you look at things like TM, where Maharishi Mahesh Yogi brought to, the Western world around the time of the Beatles and all the early albums they did. And the whole point of TM is you do it twice a day for 20 minutes, if I'm correct. And you're given your mantra, which is a secret. And it's a word that you're saying over and over and over. And that's how you meditate with it. You're just bringing your mind back to the word. If it wanders, just keep coming back every time you're breathing. So again, it's tied to breathing, which is again tied to chain of excellence, John Grinder, changing your state through breathing, your physiology, everything is going to change. Your blood pressure is going to drop. And it's hypnotic. That repetition of the word. And the proof of it is, I read a book, the guy said, you don't have to do TM. He said, just use the word one. Every time you exhale with your eyes shut, comfortable, just hear the word one in your mind. Just keep doing it. That's it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.